Hey guys, this is Thomas over here, nursemoneytalk.com. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 10 tips. 10 tips that I wish I knew that would have helped make my first year as a new nurse so much easier. Now, before I get into that, if you're not already subscribed, I want to go ahead and invite you to hit that subscribe button on this channel. I talk about all things related to nursing student, and of course, nurse life. And like in this video, for how to survive life as a new nurse. Last thing I will mention is that there are going to be a fair bit of links and whatnot that I'm going to throw at you. Don't fret. All of those links will be in the descriptions below. So you can definitely check them out whenever you'd like. And I would really encourage you to definitely check some of them out because I do think that there are going to be some very helpful resources in there for some of you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. The first tip I have for you is to get a new nurse course. Now, this is an option that I wish was available to me when I was starting as a new nurse. Now, I guess it could have been, probably was an option. I wish I just knew about it. And so what a new nurse course does is that it teaches you or helps kind of giving you the framework and the foundation to transition into a practicing nurse. So the one I recommend is Nurse Money Talk. Go to nursemoneytalk.com/new nurse academy. And in that video, they talk about things that honestly nursing school doesn't cover, primarily because, nursing school, and this is what I've always said, nursing school prepares you for the NCLEX. They kind of sort of prepare you to practicing, life as a nurse because obviously the NCLEX wants you to be a competent nurse, but nursing school is preparing you to pass boards. That is the obviously the primary goal. And while that's good, I'm not saying that they should do anything different. I do think that when you're done with that you do need something that will then be focused on helping you learn how to be a practicing nurse. So I think it's definitely a good one that's worth checking out. Some of the things that they're covering is like IV insertion, reading an EKG, how to chart, how to prioritize. And then also they look at nurse interviews and of course, nurse resume. So definitely check that out. nursemoneytalk.com/new nurse academy. Next one is to really look at getting good at charting. You probably have heard in nursing school where they'll say, if you didn't chart it, it didn't happen. Well, let me just tell you, that is very true. Lawsuits are a real thing. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to say that, lawsuits are happening, every time and you'll be in like a courtroom or whatever. But if you've been a practicing nurse for any extended period of time, I would be surprised if you're not going to be in the middle of one thing or the other, or some kind of allegations or deposition or whatever the case may be. I'm not even saying that you're necessarily at fault or that you'll even be called into a courtroom. It could be as simple as your name was on the chart and they just want to talk to everybody who touched that patient or quote unquote had anything to do with that patient. And this is where having, documenting appropriately really makes a big difference. I do have some articles that I wrote on how to document effectively. And you can definitely check those out. I'll put a link to those, to that article below. But also there is a course that you can check out. Go to nursemoneytalk.com/learn to chart. And that course will kind of walk you through over, kind of like electronic medical records, basic daily charting, shift change handoffs, and the whole host of other things such as like the legalities of charting. So it's definitely a great resource. Make sure to check that out. Last thing I do want to point out on the whole charting thing is that just note that charting will look a little different based on just kind of like what nursing specialty you're in. Now, obviously there's going to be some obvious ones that will be in there, but you're going to see some slight differences as well. So just kind of like some things to know. Now, next one is to make sure to focus on your personal finance. If you haven't already started, you need to learn about personal finance. So now if you are a non-traditional student, like you've been working for however many years, and this is like a second career, then you might already have this down, and that's good. If you don't have this down, or you are a traditional student in your early 20s and you've never really thought about personal finance or saving, investing, and any of that, then I would really, really encourage you to learn how to start saving for the things you want. So, such as the vacation, the nice car, the fancy house or whatever, and also the things that you need, such as saving for retirement, for an emergency or anything like that. There are some quick kind of like action steps that I think that could be beneficial to you. First one is, if you're not really wanting to deal with learning the whole personal finance thing or whatnot, is possibly consider, hiring or getting in touch with a financial planner. And so you can check that out at nursemoneytalk.com/financial planner. And so that'll take you to where you can then search for a financial planner. Now, next thing would be start learning how to budget. There's not really a whole lot of ways around this. And some people will think that a budget is kind of restrictive and whatnot. No, I kind of like the slogan that a budget gives you permission to actually spend, and to spend wisely, because that you'll at least have some money, left over for investing and for emergencies and whatnot. So I would encourage you to start learning how to budget. I think services like Mint or You Need a Budget, which is another software that kind of helps with budgeting and pulling kind of like your bank statements over and kind of helping you kind of budget, categorizing, so you can at least see where your money's going, is a good one. Next one is to start saving. And so those are just when you're budgeting, then as you budget appropriately, then you'll have enough money to then be able to start saving. And so you can then start saving like high yield savings or money market accounts. So, so you can definitely check one out at nursemoneytalk.com/CIT. The fourth one in these kind of quick action steps is to start investing. And so investing is how you're actually going to grow your money. This is, how you take, $500 and turn it into $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever the case may be. And so there's, I can get into the kind of like the nitty gritty of investing, but just to get you started, consider kind of like simple accounts like an Acorn or an M1. So you can go to nursemoneytalk.com/Acorn, Acorns, I should say, or nursemoneytalk.com/M1. And so these are like investment platforms that will, kind of help you start in investing your money. And so the article on this particular video will be in the descriptions below with some more helpful information. Now, the fourth, let's get out of the learning how to personal finance, and let's get to point number 4 on how to survive your first year as a new nurse. And that is to make sure you have the right gear. And so I know as a nursing student that so often, we've kind of had to buy the cheapest thing that we could just to get by. I know it. I've been there. You probably did the same thing, and that's completely fine. I do think that as you go to actually practicing as a nurse, that you're going to have to upgrade. Now, you don't have to upgrade everything, but I do think that there are some key things that you need to upgrade. So one being like potentially like your stethoscope, depending on what brand of stethoscope that you do have. And the next one being, shoes. As a nurse, you're going to be standing on your feet a lot. You want to take care of your feet. The third one is really looking at scrubs. And so I know for me, I've learned that good fitting scrubs, good quality, good fitting scrubs, like it makes me look better. It makes me feel better. And they're just more comfortable to work with. So like I said, I'll put a, link in the descriptions to some great resources for those. So definitely check that out. Fifth point is to get to know your coworkers. Now, you're not going to be able to do everything on your own. Nursing, even as you have assigned patients, you're going to be reliant on other people because you're not going to be able to do, you're not going to be able to do everything. Like I know for me, how many times, I'm drowning, somebody comes in like, oh, hey, what can I help you with? Do you need help with this? You need help with that? Or the reverse is true. Be a friend, because when you're struggling, you want to help the other people when they're struggling, because when you're struggling, you want somebody to be willing to help you out. So that is, to me, that is a big thing with getting to know your coworkers, being a good coworker, and just taking an interest in the lives of your coworkers. I'm not saying you have to be like best friends, but I think the key thing is to be able to develop a good working relationship. That's the key right there. If you need help with this, if you're somebody who normally struggles with something like this, I think one of the books that I have found kind of helpful with this is a book by Dale Carnegie. I'll put a link to it in the descriptions below, but it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. So definitely check that out. Sixth one is to find a mentor and start networking. Now, some facilities, I think, kind of have this already built in. And some of these relationships and this mentoring and this networking kind of just happens by itself. But I think this might be something that's worth being proactive, especially on the networking front. The nursing community, no matter how big of a city that you're in, you'd be shocked at how many times one nurse that I've worked with, I go to another hospital and then I'll see him again. Because here's the thing, if you are a good nurse, you're going to have a lot of options. And the thing to keep in mind is no matter how big of a city you live in or how many facilities, there's going to be ones that the good facilities that people actually want to work at. Those are the ones that you're probably going to want to be at. And guess what happens? You'll probably see the same nurses going around because nobody wants to be in the crappy facility. So definitely keep that in mind. And especially if you're trying to go to another department and, you never know when that nurse that you worked with many years ago just happens to be the manager at that other department. Remember the slogan, it's not what you know, but who you know. That's just the facts of life. Now, seventh one is to learn to prioritize. Now, in the course that I already mentioned about the new Nurse Academy, they do have sections in there about learning how to prioritize. But I think this is definitely one that's worth mentioning because learning to prioritize is very important for nursing, especially as you work short staff and you get a ton of tasks that are assigned to you. This is not a situation where which one can I do and which one can I not do. No. This is a situation where all these tasks have to be done. Which one is the most important that needs to be done first and just kind of work your way down. So learn to prioritize is very important. So definitely check out that course if this is something that you think that you're going to struggle with. And also make sure as you're going through your preceptorship that you lean in on your whoever's precepting you, and see how they're prioritizing. See what's working for them, what you notice is not working, and just kind of go off of that. Number 8 is focus on your self-care. As nurses, I get it. It's easy to want to focus on only taking care of others and just like forgetting about yourself. As a new nurse, especially if you've been, struggling on ramen noodles or whatever, and it's easy you start working, you see that money, and then you just start working as many shifts as you possibly can. That eventually becomes problematic later. It will. I promise you it's going to eventually become problematic, because that is just burnout waiting to happen. I would highly encourage you to focus on taking care of yourself. To me, that is not being selfish. You can look at that's just being smart. If you are not well taken care of, you're going to have a hard time being able to take care of your patients and be able to take care of your friends and families that are in your life. Number 9 is remember that healthcare is a business. Some of you guys walk into nursing all altruistic. I'm best intentions in the world. I'm going to help everyone and everything. This is going to be really great. And then you start working and the harsh reality hits you. Healthcare is a business. These hospitals you work for, I don't give a flip if they call themselves they're nonprofit. They're in the business of making money. I'm not, and hear me, I'm not saying be crappy at your job. Obviously not. You show up there, you work hard, you provide the best possible care that you can for your patients. Absolutely. But you need to remember as you go about and you're dealing with things, and as these shifts, your manager, whoever starts trying to guilt you into picking up unnecessary shifts that you don't need, or that's not healthy for you, or whatever the case may be, you need to remember that facility is a business. They're going to treat it as such, and they're going to be looking out for their best interest. And obviously, you need to be looking out, for your interest as well. So just got to keep that in mind. And lastly, number 10, which goes right along with the remembering that healthcare is a business, is absolutely do not be afraid to change jobs. I actually believe that most people, this is nursing in general, probably fall into 2 camps. They either job hop way too much. Obviously, this is excluding contract work, but they job hop way too much, or they stay at a job way too long. So first nursing job, you probably ideally want to stay for about 2 years ish, I would say, give or take 2 to 3 years. And then at that point, probably look at either going somewhere else, transitioning to another facility. And at that point, you can probably negotiate for a higher pay, probably more of a higher pay than the incremental raise your facility is going to give you. And then, at that point, a lot of you guys will then be eligible for, to potentially do some travel work or whatever. But if you're interested in changing jobs, or you just want to see what's out there, make sure you check out the job board at nursemoneytalk.com/jobs. But that is all I've got for this video. Let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you very soon in that next one.